So this is a story from my friend back when he was in high school in his freshman year. Now, one day when he was with his friends at Troy, a junior thought it'd be a funny idea to kick him to the ground and start beating on him. My friends with him at the time didn't help him in the situation. They just stood by him while he was being beat on by this junior. Now, my friend wouldn't stand for it, however, and he decided he wanted to defend himself. So, knowing his defense moves, he proceeded to teach that junior a well-deserved lesson. Now, bullying itself is actually more common than you would think in a high school situation. According to CQ researcher, almost 50% of high schoolers experience some sort of bullying, harassment, or teasing in last year. Now, because of this, I'm going to teach you how to defend yourself in such self-defense situations. I'm going to be teaching you 3 techniques that you can use to defend yourself and ways you can lead into other techniques with those techniques. Those 3 techniques are an upper block, a lower block, and a hook block. I'm going to start by teaching you an upper block. Now, an upper block is used in defense of someone punching you in the face or someone going over their head to attack you. Now, the way you execute an upper block is you start with your arms in an L formation. You block with your lower arm and you bring it up right around your head level. Your other arm pulls back and you use it in future techniques. Now, the way you want to use this technique, you want to make sure your shoulder's not raised, because if you raise your shoulder, it's all arm strength from there, and many people who are using these techniques are not very strong in their arm. And you also want to make sure your wrist is straight, because it's very important not to break your wrist while using this technique. Now, the way you use this technique, you can use this in a self-defense situation by, if he punches me in the face, I block, I can rotate my arm and turn it into an arm bar. Or, in an alternate situation, he can come over the head at me, and I could block here, and I could come in close and punch him in the face and back. So, that's one way to use an upper block and lead it into combinations. Now, since I told you how to use that technique in a self-defense situation, I'm going to teach you how to use a lower block in a self-defense situation. Now, a lower block is used to defend yourself against kicks. It can also be used to defend yourself against punches to the lower regions, as well as possibly used as a strike to the groin. Now, the way you use a lower block is you start off the same position, L formation with the arms, except your upper arm is the one that's going to be doing the block. So you bring it around in a circular motion, pulling your other arm back, setting it up to be used for a future technique. Now, the important thing with this arm, again, blocking arm, you want to make sure shoulders down, arms bent at the elbow, and again, wrist straight, because especially with this technique, you're blocking a kick. A straight arm with this technique and a bent wrist with this technique will result in a very broken wrist and a very messed up elbow. So, bent wrist, straight wrist, bent elbow. Now, the way you use this technique is someone comes in with a kick, you block. Because you turn him away at this point, you can go in over here and check his arm. He won't be able to turn around and hit you, and you hit him right in the lower gut. This could be a kidney strike and easily dissuade your opponent from continuing the fight. Now, if they want to continue the fight, you could simply push them away, or you could get in even closer and result in a hip throw over your body. Now, those are both ways you could easily use a lower block to your advantage in a self-defense situation. But now that I told you how to use that in a self-defense situation, I'm going to teach you how to use a hook block in a self-defense situation. Now, hook blocks are, just by showing you, you can tell that they're famously known as the wax on, wax off block from the Karate Kid. Now, hook blocks are used primarily to defend yourself against someone grabbing at your chest or someone grabbing or punching towards your chest as well. So the way you use this technique is that as someone comes in for a punch, you have your hands more or less here. The hand on the top part is the hand that's going to do the block. The other hand's going to be pulled back. Now you bring your hand over through your center and out. You want to make sure with this technique that your hands, your fingers are tight. You don't want them loose because that's going to result in broken or possibly jammed fingers, and those are bad to have in any combat situation. Now, the way you use this, as you're doing it, you're also going to make sure your arms are in close. They're not to leave your body in more of a fist distance away, because at that point, you're just using arm muscle, and as I pointed out before, not all of us who are going to be using this technique are going to be strong. As your opponent comes in, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be blocking, you're going to be, try that again, block, you're going to grab, and it's going to go into arm bar again. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that, again, with arm bars, very good control technique. However, I'd like to highlight that with arm bars, you're going to want to make sure that you're not going to be doing this for a long time, because in situations where you're going to be alone, for example at night, you're going to want to make sure that you can end the fight quickly, because you don't want to be stuck with this guy on the ground for 10 minutes and you holding him down. So one thing you can do, grab, you got him in an arm bar. Once you do that, you sweep him down and then you get out of that situation. So now I showed you how to use a hook block to your advantage in a self-defense situation. Now that's done, I showed you several ways you can defend yourself. I showed you 3 ways. The first way was with the upper block, the second way was with the lower block, and the third way was with the hook block. So, these are more technical ways to defend yourself, and I hope that you picked up on some of the things that I taught you, because these are very effective techniques in actual self-defense situations. And if you pick up on techniques like this, you too could easily defend yourself in a situation like my friend, even if he was on the ground, even if he was defending himself from someone who was easily 2 years older than him and probably had the advantage in size. Thank you.